not be the individual itself. It could be an organization, a foreign organization.
Right, such as, let's say, AIPAC, or correct.
Exactly, so that the State Department is aware in case something happens and there's an international incident that occurs from that. So yes, the State Department knows of every investigation involving a foreign national, a foreign intelligence officer, or, somebody working for the state, a diplomat, a foreign business or organization. They know about that ahead of time. So yes, they are fully aware of what's going on.
And so they will be very, very valuable for recruitment for foreign agents, for foreign countries, because if you have the person in the State Department in that position, then you have access to all the open investigations on your own agents in that country being U.S.
That's correct.
So let's say, if I'm giving hypothetical here, if Israel has Mark Grossman in that position, and Mark Grossman is the man who gets all the files and the cases from the FBI on Israeli spies, then the Israel knows who FBI is monitoring and has already, figured out to be the spy.
That's correct.
I know to many people this would, John, this would sound like some kind of a Grisham or Clancy novel.
Yeah.
But this is the reality of it. It is so screwed up that and FBI, even though they know this person in the State Department is a suspect and is under investigation, they still would notify this person of their own discovery of the agents, of the foreign agents, let's say Israeli or Turkish agents.
Well, that's why there needs to be oversight. There needs to be accountability.
But they're classified. How are you going to have an oversight? Now they don't want to even give access to the Congress. They're saying the Congress, doesn't have clearance to hear this. I mean, come on, they gagged the Congress on my case. They said we are retroactively classifying.
I know, that's exactly.
So who's going to have oversight, John?
That reminds me of when the FBI, when I got called up to the Hill, up to the Senate to talk about oversight issues. That was the other thing. As part of the retaliation, the Bureau, they did an OPR investigation on me for providing information to members of Congress.
Yeah. They did the same thing with me. That was the basis of their request for polygraph, that they suspected me of disclosing information to Congress.
Yeah.
So let's get real here. All right,
yeah.
So we're talking about the need for oversight and accountability, but then we're saying ain't no one is high enough to have the security clearance to get to see in order to have the oversight. So who's going to have the oversight, John?
Well, that's just it. I mean, that's something that has to be done. There has to be something put in the system.
Revolution.
Well, I don't go that far. But there has to be something. There has to be an entity that has oversight. Congress is not doing it. It's almost as if they have too many other things to do. And with Congress is one thing. Congress won't get onto any issue unless they see that it's going to give them, exposure. It's going to help them out.
They're being recruited by foreign governments, John.
But if they don't think that it's going to help them in their careers, they're not going to bring it up. You know what I'm saying? Congress is kind of a waste, as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm.
You go up there, you tell them what's going on, they're like, oh, this is terrible. They'll listen to you for that day, and the next day it's almost as if they forgot everything you said, and they forget about who you are.
That's because you didn't throw a fundraiser for them.
I guess. I can't. Or they'll say something like, "Well, man, if I make this public, I'm not going to get all this money from the Israeli lobby, because
mm-hmm.
I'm saying that these guys are doing this and that they shouldn't be doing this, and we want this investigated and we want this stopped. Well, are they going to support me? No, they're not. So they only pick and choose what they want. And
this
what they
is not
feel
the system our founding father put in place then, John, because, see, we had 3 branches. Mm-hmm. So if they were supposed to function a particular way, but they didn't have all this we have we spend about $2 billion, $20 billion in keeping classified documents, the government executive branch classified documents. So when the president can say state secrets privilege to court and make them irrelevant, that's one branch. So let's kick them out. They're irrelevant because the executive branch says if state secrets privilege is classified, so boom, you're out. And then they go to the Congress and say, no, it's classified. This is NSA operations that you can't hear about, and they make them irrelevant. Then that leaves one branch.
Right.
So are you suggesting that oversight is going to be someone from the executive branch, meaning they are going to go ahead and have oversight over themselves?
Yeah, no. See, I have no idea, Sibel.
I've given up. There you go.
Because I don't know how they would do it.
Apparently you two haven't heard that the checks and balances that were set up by our founding fathers have shifted, and the rule now is you cash the checks and screw the balances.
Well, that's the way it's been, yes. It seems that. You're right. Because there's no checks and balances. There's none. Right.
Now, John, let me ask you for your reaction to the one of the stunning things that Sibel Edmonds blew the whistle on. And this involves Douglas Dickerson, who was a military attaché under Mark Grossman in Ankara, Turkey, that's their capital, in the 1990s.
Right.
And his wife, Melek Khan Dickerson, was also a translator working in the same unit with Sibel at the FBI.
Yes.
And she reported to her superiors a very unusual visit that she received from Mr. and Mrs. Dickerson at her home, where they attempted to recruit her. And so she reported that as required, the mandated reporting that we talked about earlier.
Uh-huh.
And that's what got the retaliation that led to her dismissal from the FBI and ultimately the gag order that was imposed under this fuzzy state secret privilege that is asserted. What can you add to that story, and how do you react to it? Is this commonplace where we have people who are Americans who have been posted in foreign locations and end up coming back compromised and appear to be working as double agents?
I think, I'll just say this. I think that happens a lot. I think that there's more than we know out there. And it seems like, there's supposed to be certain things in place to prevent that. For example, you're supposed to have your 5-year reinvestigation every year. You're supposed to have a polygraph every year or every 5 years. If you're read into any special programs, you're supposed to be polygraphed again. And go through another type of a background, a little more in-depth background than the already very in-depth background investigation. But the problem is a lot of these people that are in those positions are above the law. They come back, no one is holding them to the same standards, and they get away with it. Perfect example, Hansen. I look at Hansen. I mean, when I first started working in the FBI, I worked with Hansen in the Soviet Analytical Unit. I speak Russian. Hansen used to bring notes in and have me translate them. And what the hell is this all about? I'm just a young guy, don't know what the hell is going on, but, he's been here for a long time. I guess he knows what he's doing. And Hansen was committing espionage. He was doing all these things. We had a case that was going on at the time, back in 1985. And there was only a handful of people that knew about this investigation that we had. And one morning I came into the office, and everything just went away. It's like, what the hell happened? The I.O. left the country. The people that were involved were gone. It just disappeared. And Hansen came in that morning, and I'll never forget this. I mean, he goes, I told him, I said, something happened, something's wrong. And told him what happened, and his comment was, oh, man, we must have a leak. This is Hansen telling me this. We must have a leak. It's probably at the CIA or State Department. So he says, we need to go out and polygraph those guys. And there's only a handful of them that we need to polygraph. FBI management, said the same thing. They said, yeah, it's got to be somebody at the CIA. Nobody wanted to believe it was somebody in the FBI, especially a senior person like Bob Hansen was.